If you cut paper, cardstock, flyers, photos, or classroom materials, then having a weak paper cutter is so frustrating. That's why today I'm testing out this 12-inch wooden heavy-duty paper cutter. We're gonna see what this thing can do. We're gonna test it with regular printer paper. We're going to test it with a playing card, and we're gonna test it with 80-pound stock poster paper. And I'm gonna put a stack of these together so we have 16 sheets to see how easily this can slice through. And we're gonna see if the lines are straight, the lines are sharp, the cuts are fine, and how easy is it to work this thing. This is a wooden-based paper cutter, and it claims to be able to cut through 12 to 16 sheets of paper. It is a stainless steel blade, and the first thing I noticed about this that I thought was pretty cool is that the blade is on a spring. So when you undo this, the blade automatically goes up. So just be careful if you have this. Real quick, if you like this video, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you want to pick one of these up, I'll put the link for the exact product that I have right here in the description below. First, here's a close-up look at the cutting board. And you can see it has lines on here so you can measure everything out. It has diagonal lines so you can cut straight diagonal cuts when you need to. It has this panel right here, this piece of plastic. And when you're cutting, you need to press this down. What that does is hold your paper in place, but this is also a finger guard, so that's very helpful. So when you press it down, you don't want to just press on this, you want to press on this and on the pad. If you don't press on this, the paper is going to move all around, but you'll see this thing has a little bit of a spring to it as well. So that'll spring up, you slide the paper in and you hold it down before you cut. This also includes a little holder right over here where you can store paper clips. On the bottom, there are very nice rubber feet, so this thing is not going to slide around at all while you're using it. They also include a paper corner rounder, which I'll show you how to use this. This thing comes in really handy actually when you're making greeting cards or postcards and you want to have nice round corners. And you get this little box filled with paper clips and other clips. And of course, again, those have a little storage area right in here. You just have to open these up and dump it inside. The reason I bought this is in the past, I've had much cheaper, flimsier cutting boards, and it was the kind where it's very lightweight plastic and it has a rolling blade. But I wanted something a little more heavy duty because I'm constantly cutting things that are thicker, or I'm cutting stacks of paper. And with the rolling thing, I could cut maybe 2 sheets at a time. This should allow me to cut much more, but we're gonna test that out now. For our first test, we're gonna use regular thin printer paper. So I will click this up, that'll fly up. Now, I did notice that as you slide the paper in, if the spring on this blade didn't pull the blade all the way up, sometimes you'll just have to push it a little bit higher. I mean a tiny bit higher in order to get the paper to push up against the top edge so that you know everything is straight and square. Now I have noticed with other cutters like this, with the guillotine cutter, if the blade's not sharp enough, if you're trying to cut off just like a 1/16 of an inch, rather than cut the paper, it'll actually just fold it down. So I'm gonna do that as my first test to see if I can cut off just a sliver of the paper. But before I do that, I want you to hear how nice this blade sounds as it goes down. That is a very nice cutting sound. I actually really like that sound. I have noticed if you push away from the cutting board, you'll get less of a sound or no sound at all. So as you do this, you kind of want to push this, not as hard as you can, but just enough to make sure that the blade is running along the metal edge of the wooden board. So it'll sound like this. That's the sound you want. So here we go. We're going to cut off a small little sliver of paper here, maybe about 1/4 of an inch. I'll press this down, hold it in place, push this a little bit this way, and cut. And as you can see, that cut off that small of a piece perfectly, no problem whatsoever. A very straight edge, fantastic. If I wanted to cut a diagonal, I could use these lines. So there's the diagonal lines on here, and I can line those up so that I can cut the exact angle that I'm looking for. Now, I'm not a mathematician, so I'm not gonna figure out what this angle is. But as you can see, it does a great job of that as well. Now we're gonna try the playing card. And I am a professional magician, and I sometimes need to cut cards. I can't tell you why, but it is a thing that we do every once in a while. So I'm gonna try to cut off just a sliver of this card and see how well it does that. Wow, that was so good. So look at this, that much, perfectly. My old cutter, there's no way I could have done that. And a cheaper version of this would have folded that down. Now, before we get to the 80 stock paper, I want to show you how this works. You can see a playing card has a rounded edge, but this now has a 90-degree angle. That's where this comes in handy. So if I take this card, slide it in, and then clip the button, I now have a rounded edge on both sides. So this little thing that they throw in is awesome, especially for me. I'll be using that all the time. Here we go to the 80 pound. So we're gonna do one sheet first, 80 pound. And this is like the thickest paper that I would ever use. I mean, this is like poster size paper or sketching paper that you would draw on. And let's test this out. Beautiful. I mean, it does one sheet, no problem. Now we're gonna do the ultimate test. With all of these, we're gonna have 16 sheets of paper. So let me show you, let me get these all squared up. 16, all of these are folded over. So each one of those is 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, and 16. So here we go, the 16 sheet test. And it even slides under here pretty well, so it's a little bit tight. I don't think you could use more paper because it wouldn't slide under the finger guard. And I'll get this squared up. I'm gonna cut this right down the middle though. All right, here we go. 16 sheets of 80 pound paper. Oh, that's tough, okay. Now, if you were using, so we did get through it and it did cut a very nice clean line for all 16 sheets. You can see that I did have to struggle a little bit to cut through that. So I will not be using this to cut through 16 sheets of 80 pound paper, but I would cut through 16 sheets of printer paper. It'll do that, no problem. As you can see, this thing is super powerful. It does a great job cutting pretty much anything that you need it to cut. It's sturdy. If you do arts and crafts, or if you have a classroom and you need a good cutter, I think this thing is awesome and I highly recommend it. Again, if you'd like to grab one of these, there is a link for this in the description below. Thank you so much for watching.